on commerce, which is the e-commerce side of things, our B2C and our B2B, and I'm also going to talk about fraud protection. So what is Dynamics 365 Commerce? So Dynamics 365 Commerce delivers an end-to-end management retail functionality via a headless commerce engine and through our headquarters. So it enables connected, unified through our unified headless engine, as I mentioned. And commerce is also built to support our natively out-of-the-box Dynamics Finance and Supply Chain Management. You can also connect Dynamics 365 Commerce to any other ERP solution, and maybe a third-party solution like Oracle, SAP, or any other the ERP solutions that are out there. So Dynamics Commerce supports both traditional and emerging channels. The solution natively enables in-store, call center, our e-commerce solution, but it also supports emerging channels like marketplace, social, and also things like chat box, virtual agents, and those sorts of things. This enables commerce to deliver both customer and business-facing outcomes, creating a seamless shopping experience for our customers, automating through virtual agents and empowering store agents to deliver more customer service through the different components of commerce. So combining this all together, we get a full unified solution that delivers omnichannel experience to our customers. And of course, all this sits on top of our Azure global infrastructure. So it's scalable and secure and reliable. And what does it give you? It gives you the ability to deploy commerce pretty much anywhere. So you could have your back office in one country. You could deploy a cloud scale unit into a different country. We give you the ability to deploy hardware into a store. You could have a pop-up store somewhere else. So we have different options around cloud point of sale and modern point of sale. So modern point of sale is when you install the point of sale onto a device. Our cloud point of sale is directly to the internet. So again, you could have a pop-up store. Sometimes you walk through a supermarket or shopping center and you see pop-up stores there, and you can do that with commerce as well. If we take a look at some of the component architecture of commerce, if I start on the left-hand side here, this is Lifecycle Services, and this is where you deploy Dynamics 365 Commerce. The next one along here is our back office. This is where our call center users, so customers call up, they might want to put an order through, and any back office users. Now they can connect into Dynamics 365 Commerce, but there's also the ability to other parts of Dynamics included, like supply chain or finance or HR. In the middle area here, we have the ability to have all the different components in store. As I mentioned before, we have a modern point of sale. We also have a cloud point of sales. We can install hardware stations, and we have the ability to connect through a number of different devices. That's iOS or Android. And this connects into our commerce scale unit. Okay, and I'll talk about these other components shortly. Over to the right here, we have our customers that can connect through our e-commerce site. Now, our e-commerce site is B2C, business to a consumer or business to a customer, and also B2B, which is business to business. And I'll talk a little more about those as we go through. So on the right-hand side here is our site designer administrators. So this is where we build our sites, and they will connect into our site builder. And the site builder is where we store all our pages, our templates to make up our website. We would also install in here all our digital assets, things like videos, images, and we can also update and change and manage and have full controls over ratings and reviews that we put onto our site. Moving over back to the middle here, our commerce scale unit also connects into other areas like a cloud powered search, so you can have advanced and smart powered search on your website. We also connect into Dynamics Fraud Protection, which I'm going to talk a little bit about today. And then we have some smarts around commerce AI, making recommendations, best buys, those sorts of things. And of course, there's analytics, customer insights. All of these connect into our other solutions as well. We might have sales, marketing, commerce, customer service, field service, and also we can do the Power Platform, Power Apps and Power BI. So let me touch on B2B for a second. So our business-to-business solution. So we provide a B2B e-commerce solution for Dynamics 365. It covers a wide range of industries, and we give a B2C feel in our B2B platform. B2C was the first platform we released, and now we have that B2B solution as well. So we're providing the same similar functionality, but other components that a B2B business would utilize. So if I look at some of the key features that we have in our B2B platform, because you're dealing with a business, so let's say I'm a business, and in this case Fabricam, and I'm selling fashion items, another business might want to purchase off me and sell those fashion items themselves. So as a business, I can onboard a business partner. I can review and approve that request. Then I can give that business a admin access to the B2B platform, and then they can onboard additional users. They can also set things like spending limits. So let's say I'm an admin of another business. I've allowed some of my users to purchase directly from the B2B platform. I can set spending limits for them. Ordering capabilities, there's a whole bunch of features and so forth around our ordering. We can set ordering grids. We could have ordering templates. So in the example here, we're saying, okay, because I'm a business, I'm not like a consumer. So if I go to a consumer site, I might purchase a pair of jeans and a pair of shoes and maybe a jacket and a shirt. If I'm buying from another business, I'm probably more than likely going to buy in bulk. So, I might want to buy a grid buy here of sunglasses, and I might buy 100 of each as opposed to being a consumer. So we can set up templates. As a business, I can also set other things like minimum, maximum, and multiple order quantities. And an important one down here is I can support on account payment. So when I'm a consumer and I go to a site, I usually hand over my credit card. I might use PayPal or something like that to pay for my items. If you purchase business to business, you might have an account. So then you can put whatever you purchase onto an account and you can pay it later. So if we have a look at the other side of that, so we can look at our history. So once we've purchased an item, we can see what other people have bought. If I'm the administrator, I want to see what other people in my business have bought. I support through the platform account statement and invoices. So again, I can come in and go, okay, I want to see what I've been purchasing. I would like the information around how much money I've spent. We also support payment for on-sales invoices. So in other words, I could come back in, log back in and go, you know what, I need to pay off some of the things that I've been purchasing, and I can pay it directly through the B2B site. This also integrates to Dynamics 365 for sales. And other areas, you can integrate it into other solutions as well, but it fits nicely in with Dynamics 365 to sales. So that's our B2B. We covered B2C and B2B, and shortly we'll be going through a demo and I'll show you the platforms. But let's talk about fraud protection for a second. So why is Microsoft in the fraud business? Okay, we're in the fraud business because we are among the top 10 e-tailers and we are prime target for fraudsters. We found that other services didn't meet our needs, so we had to design something for ourselves. So we designed something for Dynamics, which is Dynamics Fraud Protection. We have many different online sites. I'm sure some of you probably utilized some of these sites before. along with our physical stores, although there's not that many of our physical stores anymore. Considering the world we live in with COVID, most of the things are online. We have days where we have revenue over $100 million, and we have days where attempted fraud is over $10 million. So we have to protect our business, and we've pretty much seen it all. You know, some examples of fraud that we've seen in the US, we have foreclosed homes. So what was happening is people would have stolen credit cards. They will make purchases online. They'll get the items shipped to a foreclosed house or building. And then at the end of the day, the fraudsters would come around in a van and collect all the items that have come throughout the day and drive off. So there's all sorts of fraud that can happen. From a customer's point of view, the journey for them, if I'm a consumer and I want to sign up to a business, the first thing I would come along and do is the first component would be around identity. So maybe an anonymous user, when I first come to a site, I might create an account and then I log into the account, and then I have some account activities. On the purchasing side, you would hope that all the purchasing goes smoothly, and I pay for my items, I get my items, and occasionally there's things that happen on the post-purchase. You know, there's something wrong with an item, I might have to return it, whatever that may be, exchange an item as well. So this is a typical journey, and that's a smooth type of journey. But where does fraud come into this? So fraud can cause all sorts of problems. So from an identity point of view, there could be fake accounts set up. There could be abuse of discounts as a business that you're providing. There could be fake reviews put up. On the purchasing side, there could be stolen credit cards, unauthorized purchase, rewards fraud. And on the post-purchase side, there could be things like returns fraud, abuse of refunds. So there's all sorts of things that could happen on the journey of a business and signing up, purchasing, and post-purchase. So where does Dynamics 365 fraud protection come in, and what are the capabilities? So from the left-hand side here, we offer account protection. We have some smarts in Dynamics 365's fraud. So it's a smart AI technology to help pick up some of these fraudster activities or abuses to a business. And they're broken down into 3 areas. So account protection, purchase protection, and loss prevention. So these two here, the account protection and purchase protection, is all about that online activity. So that could be signing up to account creation, or could be logging into your account. There's also the purchasing side. So when I go to purchase an item, is that transaction going to go through? Is the bank going to accept when I put that credit card through? Will it be accepted? Is that credit card being stolen? So there's some smart technology there to help with these that side of the transaction. And the last part here is loss prevention. Now, loss prevention is all about investigating potential fraud into your bricks and mortar stores. So the shops you see down the street. When you walk down the street, you might see a shop. This is all about digging in and analyzing the transactions in your bricks and mortar store. Okay, so let's take a look at, we'll start with e-commerce. So let's take a look at our e-commerce platform. I'll just change screens here. Bring that one up. Here we go. All right. Okay, so what we see here is our e-commerce platform. Now, with Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, you still need to deploy through lifecycle services. For those of you who on the call know lifecycle services and how lifecycles work, I've deployed finance and operations, and I have a component here around manage, which is all around my e-commerce side. And if I go into Dynamics 365, well, that's refreshing, and that one's refreshing. Let's wait for these to refresh. There we go. Yeah. All right, while they're refreshing, we'll jump into our e-commerce site. So this is our e-commerce branded site. Now, what we can do from a Microsoft perspective is we can deploy an e-commerce site just like this one out of the box in a matter of minutes. So it doesn't take long to get these sites up and running. We've got, when we deploy e-commerce, called the first run experience, and we deploy, this is called a Fabricam theme. So this is the theme site that we run, and we're going to go through, have a look at what that looks like in a second. I just want to check Dynamics here. Okay. So on the tab Manage, this is my cloud scale unit, which I mentioned during the presentation. So it's been deployed. Here's my e-commerce component. So I've deployed my e-commerce component, my site builder, which I mentioned earlier, where you do all your work on your pages and everything, and we'll see that in a second. And here's my e-commerce site. If I click on my e-commerce site, it's just going to take me here. In the back end here, I still have my Dynamics 365 retail, and everything that's connected to my Fabricam site is pulled through from Dynamics 365. We have a concept of online stores, which is channels. And in this case, I'm using the Fabricam Extended Online. And when I set up this store as a B2B site, I set up things like payment methods. I set up my modes of delivery. And my modes of delivery are things like, okay, what transport method am I using? Am I allowing pickup in store or curbside pickup? What sort of payment methods am I going to offer? Am I going to offer credit card? What about loyalty? What about rewards? What are my options there? And assortment. So assortments are the items that I'm going to actually show to my customers, what they're going to see, and that'll pull through from my site. So if I jump into my Fabricam site, let's have a look at what it looks like to do an end-to-end transaction through my B2C site. So you've seen up here on the right-hand side, I've signed in already. On the far right, you can see that I've got cart. I could do a search. So if I do a search on, say, shoes, the smart search is going to go through and it's going to start looking for things around shoes. So I do a search here. Oops. Try that again. Now, this site is sitting in the US, so it could be a little bit slower here, but here's my categories of different shoes. It says, okay, what sort of shoes are you chasing? Is it men's shoes, suede shoes, leather shoes? I'm going to select just a category of shoes down here. Now that brings up many different options. It's saying that I can do more refiners, I can do more filtering, I could scan through my shoes. Or I might go, okay, obviously the navigation bars up here. So the navigation options here are pulled through from Dynamics. If I go to menswear and I look at shoes, I can see my shoes here. I've got some information around my shoes. Scroll down here, I'll go, you know what? I like these shoes, they look pretty good. I can see some information. I can make some data selections here. I'll say, you know what, give me a pair of shoes, regular here, a color, brown. The other thing, while that's coming through, the images are coming through, down the bottom here, you can see related products and things that are related to the shoes. I'm buying shoes, so it's showing me more shoes. Down the bottom here, I can write reviews. I've got to be a customer to sign in to write a review, so you can see the reviews down the bottom as well. If I go back up here, I can see my images coming through here. This is a pair of shoes I like. Some important things here on my buy box. It tells me that there's overnight shipping available. This is pulled through from Dynamics. Another important component here, it says, hey, you have the ability to buy now and pick up in store. these are the options you have. You can in-store pickup or curbside pickup. You can even find a store. So what I'll do, I'll add this to my bag first. Up the top here, it's giving me a notice to say, hey, this is in your bag now. Okay, I'll quickly buy another pair of shoes. Okay, I'll just buy these sneakers here. I'll add those to my bag as well. Select the size. Oops, size required. Yep, put it there. Should add. Let's see what that adds. Just a bit of slow there. Gone so slow. There we go. It's better. Alright, yeah. Let's add that to my bag. So at the moment, I've got two things in my shopping cart. I'm just going to sign in here because I'm a user. Now, when I sign in, it authenticates to Azure B2C to say, yes, I'm a known customer. I've signed in. I haven't needed to sign up. You could sign up as well. So I'm happy with this. Let's go view my shopping bag and see what I've got here. Now in here, I've got two bits of shoes. You notice up the top here, I've got a banner that's scrolling through and it says, hey, if I buy 2 pairs of shoes or more, I'll get a discount. So I'm happy with the discount here. I'm going to pick up an item here. I'm going to say, you know what, I want to pick this up in store. I can't wait for it to be posted to me. So let's have a look. I can see, okay, the store information, when it's open, availability, it's in stock. Yes, I will. I'll pick that up in store. Okay, so now we're looking here up the top here. It says you pick up. You're going to pick this up at San Francisco store, and this one's going to be shipped to me. I'm going to check out. So once I've come to the checkout, you notice on the right-hand side here, shipping hasn't been calculated yet. It's telling me, hey, by the way, you want to pick this up in store. As a business, I've got pickup dates and pickup times. So I can set that up in Dynamics. I'll set that up in the back end to say, hey, I'm only allowing people to come and pick up either curbside or inside in store at certain times. So if I come here, I can make a selection as a customer, I'm going to pick that up at that time. The other item's going to be shipped to me. It's telling me this is where it's going to be shipped to. Now at the top right-hand side, my shipping's still yet to be calculated. So I'll come down here and go, yep, I'm happy with that. And no, I want these overnight. I save and continue, and this will update my shipping. Now that shipping information is again coming from Dynamics. I come down to payment method type, and I can put in a gift card if I want to do a gift card, or I can use a credit card. So I've got one on file here that I'll use. I'll save and continue. Okay, I'm happy with everything I've got. I can see more information about my cart. I can go and edit my cart if I want to. I'm happy with everything there. I'm going to place my order. So now we got confirmation. I've got confirmation of order number. I could have a QR code. So what could happen is I could drive to the store if it's curbside pickup, or in a if I'm parked in the car park, a shop assistant could come out and scan the barcode, have my order. They could tell me put it in the boot of the car. So then there's that contactless type of shopping. It's telling me here the details, pick up in store, the time I'm supposed to go into the store to pick it up. It shows me the item. This is the one getting shipped to me. So if I look on the other side of that, as a business, I would go through, there's a number of batch jobs that would be running. As a customer, I've walked into the store and I've said, I'm here to pick up my item. So this is my cloud point of sale you're seeing once it loads up, as opposed to the modern point of sale. Remember, the modern point of sale, you install it on a device. In this case, it's a cloud point of sale. So I've come into the store. There's a number of different ways you can find the order. If I'm a cashier in the store, I can see the items that I need to go and get throughout the store. You can see some of these are already picking, packed, and so forth. This has been accepted. It tells me the delivery date and time for items to be picked up. So we're going to select this one right here, and we're going to go pick up. It's telling me that I'm picking up my leather lace-up boots. That's okay. And I'll pick this item up. So at this point in time, you have the ability to use the available payment method, which is the payment method we used at the start when I was the consumer and I used the credit card. You also have the ability as a cashier to ask the customer if they would like to use a different payment method. So they might want to pay with cash or a different credit card or wherever it may be. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to use the one that's on file, and off we go. Okay, I'm going to pick the item up. It's going to bring it to the cashier terminal. I can see all the information I need. In this case, 2 items. I'm only here to pick up the leather boots, and I'm happy with that. It's going to go on the credit card, and I finish off this order. So that gives you the end-to-end process. But quickly before we go, to show you how easy it is to edit a page. So everything I've just shown you is out of the box. There's no customizations, there's no extensions. That is completely out of the box. It's pretty easy. Down on the left-hand side here, we have different options: pages, products, fragments, and so forth. So it's pretty easy to edit things, and you can just come in here. For example, my home page. If I come in here, I can change things directly from here. So it gives everyone the ability, or the site authors, to come in here and make changes. The great thing about making changes in here, you can preview things before you actually publish them to a live site. So there's lots of options in here to do things. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time today to get into the details of everything, but I'll quickly show you here. You saw the carousel. This is my home page I'm looking to edit. I've actually already got it into edit, but if I come down here to my carousel block, okay, I can see the different carousel that are running through, and you can see that I've got some text up the top here. If I wanted to change something there, I can easily change it. Say hello. Okay, and you can see it's changed in my carousel. My carousel is still scrolling, but you can see it's changed right here. Hello, everyone. But my live site hasn't changed. It's my live site. I'm still scrolling through. I haven't updated my live site. So I come back here. I have the ability to preview this. So I can preview this. Fabricam in a preview mode. So let's preview. This one's gone back. Okay. Yeah, it's taking a bit of time today, but that's okay. All right. So while that's waiting, because we don't have too much longer, I want to make sure that everyone gets to see fraud protection. So let me jump to fraud protection. I'll just bring that up on my screen here. Okay. So this is Dynamics 365 fraud protection. So in fraud protection, as I mentioned before, when you come in here, there's information around how you connect things. There's information around you might want to take a tour and so forth. When I did my PowerPoint presentation, I talked about the online components around account creation, there's account logins, there's purchase as well. So if I go to fraud protection, there's some smarts in here. For example, there's a bot score. So there's an AI for us. There's smart AI technology that scores things. So for example, if I'm creating an account, I can have a bot score and it'll automatically create a bot score for me. I can also set up rules. Now, an example of a rule is something like, I've got a rule here called risky countries. And what that means is I have certain countries. Let's say I'm a business in the EU, and I'm not allowed to trade with certain countries, or people from certain countries aren't allowed to purchase from me. So you see here, I have a user on embargo country list. So what that means is if there's a user trying to create an account or trying to log into an account from one of these countries that I've said I can't trade with, then that is rejected. Okay. And what that means on the right-hand side here, you can see a lot of this. It's called payload sample. This is a sample of the payload that would be sent from my e-commerce site to fraud protection. And what does that mean? So let me show you what that means. I have just trying to find my store. Here we go. This is my store. I've got a very simple store that I've got running in memory. I've signed up. I've gone to the top and said I want to register as a user. In this case, I've said filled out the information and I'm set up on Cuba. Now, Cuba is one of the countries that is an embargo country. So when I hit account protection APIs, it's going to run and it's going to send that information to fraud. And down here, before I get there, it's telling me straight away, you're rejected by fraud protection. And what's happened is that when I've done the sign up, it's sent a request to fraud protection with the payload. You see the information here. It's picked up the place I've got country region of CU, which is Cuba. And the fraud protection response on the right-hand side here has gone through that. It's found a rule that says reject any countries that are on the embargo list. So fraud has done its job. It's put a risk all around this, but I've set up a rule back in fraud that said, just get out of that one. Find fraud, it's gone on me again. There we go. So I set up a rule that says if you're on that embargo countries list, you will be rejected. So you can see there how the fraud protection can help with the account creation side. If I go to account login, it's very similar. We got some smart AIs here as well to say, hey, there's people logging in. Down the bottom here says, is any rules been hit? No, there hasn't been any rules. So the people or the consumers logging in, it's all good at this stage. But again, I could have rules around my account login. Okay. And it could be countries, it could be all sorts of things. It's up to the merchant to make those rules. Okay, so if I go back to account creation, you would have seen that got rejected. So if I go down the bottom here, it tells you here, risky country rule. There's been 6 attempts from country. So you can see that rule's been pushed into play. All right, so let's look at the purchasing side. So these, again, still this online component. So if I go to purchasing, there's the purchasing dashboard, which will come up in a second. It gives you some information around what transactions are happening in your business. There's also the ability to set rules around purchasing, and there's the ability to diagnose some of the data. So just waiting for this to load, and load in a second. And then we'll start digging into some of these different areas. So if I take a look up the top here, it's still pulling through. This is my scorecard. Up the top, it's going to say volume of transactions. It's going to show me approval rates. It's going to show me a bank acceptance rate and any chargeback. Now, chargebacks, things where a consumer has said to the bank, I'm sorry, but that charge shouldn't be against my credit card. And then that's pushed back to the merchant. And the merchant has to not only, they might lose the stock, they also have to pay for the refund back to the bank. Okay, so that's running a little bit slow through there tonight. We'll let that keep going while I look at the rules. So again, you can set up rules in here. You can see a rule here that says anything around jewelry, high-end stuff or high-end things that a merchant might be selling, you could set up a rule. And again, we're back to embargo in countries where I can't sell to certain countries. So if someone tries to purchase, say, jewelry from me, they're rejected. So there's some rules there you can set up as well. So just jump back here to see if the scorecards come up. Oh, well, that's going. We'll jump into diagnose and we'll look at some of the data that we have. All right. So what we can see in here, now this is just sample data, but you can get all sorts of data. You can upload historical data from merchants or from a business. So in here, we have the dollar value of our reported transactions. So as a business, this is USD. If we work along here, it says total value dollar reported fraud events. So fraud protection is saying there's about 47K USD of fraud. Okay, there's some other information along here as well. What we want to do is jump down to here. It tells me by count or by value. It says, okay, the risk score range. So our smart AIs put some risk scores around some of these transactions. So I'm going to say, okay, I'll put in 50 here. Show me everything around 50. So what it's saying is the red is saying that, hey, these are more than likely fraud transactions. The green ones are non-fraud transactions. So as a business, you can start looking over these and go, oh, okay, some of that's fraud. Is it a lot of fraud? Okay, $17 or 17, sorry, counts as opposed to value. I can change the value if I wanted to. Down the bottom here, you can look at your model performance and you can go, okay, what happens? On the left is reject all transactions, accept all transaction. If I reject all transactions or close to, if I go down the bottom here, it says number of fraudulent transactions rejected, 1,149 out of the 1,500. As a business, that's probably not a good idea. On the value side of things, that's terrible. I'm going to reject $28,000 or more of transactions based on some of the fraud. Now, not everything's fraud. This is just showing what potential fraud can be. So not everything up the top here in red is fraud. It's just showing the merchant and business the things that you should investigate. So if I use my slider and say, look, anything with a risk score, let's say around 80, what will that do to my business? Well, that's only going to reject 14 transactions and it's going to be $166. So as a business, that's probably a pretty good thing. You go, okay, so I might make some rules that any risk scores that come back over 80 and above, we will not allow those to go through. Now down the bottom here, I can see my top 5 risk factors. There could your fraud's picking up. There's some suspicious IP addresses. IP addresses could be known addresses which caused problems before. There's risky prepaid cards that have been used and a couple of other options here. All right, so the last one I want to talk about is loss prevention. Now, I mentioned before the first 3 here are all about those online transactions, all about the e-commerce site that you might be utilizing, about customers signing up or logging or doing purchase. So that's all online. The last one here is loss prevention. Now, loss prevention is all about your bricks and mortar stores and looking at transactions within those stores. So you can upload, you can go to a business and go, can I have your historical transactions? And you can upload these transactions into fraud protection. Fraud protection will go away and run certain rules over those transactions and see where there's potential to be fraud. Now, if I take a look at this here, I see my loss prevention. There's some data that I've uploaded already. It's telling me the revenue opportunity based on staff data. So this is the staff side of things. On the other side here, it's based on terminal data. So, you know, as a business or as a merchant, you have cashiers that come in and there could be 10, 15 people using the same device. Whereas there might be staff that use a single device. So you start digging into the data here a little bit. We've got our risk score range, which has been associated by our machine learning and AI. So I'm not interested in 0, but I'm probably interested in everything from about 500 and above. And I can start digging in here. And it's telling me that my staff count by month and score bin is saying, hey, this is unlikely to be fraud. But this here looks like very likely to be fraud. So if I start going, okay, November 2018, looks like a lot of fraud in these places. I drill down a little bit further here. I can see staff and terminals, some information around the score counts. I look down here at staff ID. Obviously, I haven't got names associated with this. But if I go down a little bit further here on the right-hand side, I see a maximum score. So that's my maximum risk score, which is 999. I see average score and how many times this has happened. Now, if I'm a merchant, I'm a business, and I'm looking into this data, I'll be going, oh, this one's happened 5 times. So let's look into this staff member. So I click on this staff member, and I start digging into this staff member to find out what's going on. Now, this staff member could be a simple not being trained very well. It could be lacking some training, or it could be actually could be fraud. So we start looking down here and we can see, look, average score out of 999 is 748. Now that's quite high. So you start digging further and go, okay, so the staff score is high. The average score of the entire population, which means all my other staff members, is quite low compared to them. So if I look at September, it's very high. I start digging into how we've got those numbers or percentages, and you can see here some reasons. Cash to card return ratio, no, that looks okay. Discounted items sold with no discount. So this staff member has been giving discounts on an item when there was no discount available. I go down here, I can see, okay, return ratio. So there's a lot of returns coming back in with this staff member. Okay, then there's without versus a receipt. So again, the staff members bring in returns and the customers got no receipts. I jump down here, I can start digging into these areas more if I want to dig into the areas more. And another important thing down here, you can see that these are the transactions over the last 6 months for this staff member. And you can start digging down further. You can see a lot of returns here and so forth. This one here has got a purchase amount for this transaction of 0, but they've come in and we've given them $1,600 back without anything being purchased. So again, this is obviously fraud on the consumer side, maybe not the staff side. So it could be some training for the staff. One last thing here is you see this little icon here. It's basically saying, hey, by the way, this terminal that this staff member has been using is also highly ranked as a risk. In other words, that terminal is a problem as well. And there could be good reasons for that. If you go to any stores where returns are always go to the same area, that could just be normal. But again, it gives the merchants and the business a tool to look into things more. So just wary of my time there. So that gives you a bit of an idea of fraud and also our e-commerce platform.
That was great. That was great overview, Patrick.
All right, I'll just jump. I think I've got 2 minutes to go. Let me just jump back here. Am I still good?
Yeah, that's great. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, perfect. So that was a very great overview, Patrick, and I really enjoyed myself being a retail consultant as well. Thank you so much for doing this. We are just on time and we have our next speaker in line, but I'll leave you by asking just one simple question.
Sure.
Then what will be your message after showing these functionalities around fraud protection to the clients who have finance and operations, but they are not onto D365 commerce functionalities with respect to e-commerce and fraud protection?
Good question. So you don't need Dynamics 365 Commerce or any Dynamics solution. So Dynamics 365 Fraud Protection is a standalone solution. So you can use it with any other ERP or other e-commerce solutions, Shopify, Manigo, the other ones. So it's a standalone solution. So yeah, great question. You don't need finance and operations or commerce to use fraud protection.
That's great. I think that will help a lot of customers in the industry, because that's something, with the situations now where people are more, getting more footprints digitally on their business, that will be a great advantage. Thank you so much, Patrick, and
no worries.
hoping to see you soon again.
No problem.